The biggest superstar playing in the Orlando bubble has tested positive for coronavirus. Russell Westbrook says he'll join the Rockets in Orlando, but there is no telling how it's going to affect his game. If there's any player that relies on speed and athleticism, it's Russ. If he's even half a step slower, it will change how he plays and significantly hurt the Houston Rockets. Now, the NBA did design this process for a player to test positive, get cleared, and be ready for games. But this is late in the game. We're now just about 2 weeks until games start, and there's no telling how much time Russ will miss. People are wondering what this means for other big stars. James Harden didn't show up yet. We have no idea about those guys, but now Russ has tested positive. In this video, we're gonna look at what it does to the Rockets' chances in the bubble and how they will adapt without Russ. Hey, it's Casey. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells. Coming out with 5 quality NBA videos Monday through Friday, always dropping at 5 Eastern. And usually we're talking about something really interesting NBA related or some good news. Today though, it's bad news because the biggest superstar who is gonna play in the bubble has tested positive. First, here's what Russ said. I tested positive for COVID-19 prior to my team's departure to Orlando. I'm currently feeling well, quarantined, and looking forward to rejoining my teammates when I am cleared. Thank you all for the well wishes and continued support. Please take this virus seriously. Be safe, mask up. And I don't care what anyone says, this is a huge blow for the Houston Rockets. Look, he could test negative in 2 weeks, but this means he will not play with the Rockets at training camp, and it probably means he'll be limited if he plays at all in the seeding games. The Rockets leaned on Russ before the season stopped too. I mean, he was playing at an all-star level. Yes, they have James Harden, of course, but the Rockets also have the 8th toughest schedule in the bubble. They'll have to face the Mavericks, Bucks, Blazers, Lakers, Kings, Spurs, Pacers, and Philly before the postseason. Without Russ, I could easily see them going 3-5. That would drop them to the 7th seed, where they would face the LA Clippers in the first round. So you may think not having Russ isn't a big deal, but I think it could mean they don't make it past the first round. The Rockets could absolutely fall to the 7th seed. The Mavericks have a much easier schedule, and they're in a great mood. Did you see Boban and Luka playing one-on-one the other day? Boban is unstoppable. With Russ in the lineup, I expected the Rockets to at least keep the 6th seed and beat the Nuggets in the first round. Nikola Jokic also recovering from COVID-19. There was a path to jump all the way to the 4th seed, in fact, where they would play the Jazz or the Thunder, and then the Lakers in round 2. The Rockets beat the Lakers in LA their first game after trading Clint Capella. And you might think I am crazy here for saying the Rockets could have upset the Lakers in round 2, but think about this. The Lakers have lost Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo since they played last, and the Rockets have only gotten better. Have you seen how James Harden and Russell Westbrook look? Harden is in the best shape of his life after quarantine workouts. Russ looked pretty good too. And none of this would even be a big deal if Russ hadn't succeeded next to James Harden this year. I seriously doubted that they would work together. Then Russ proved me wrong. I had to make an entire video about how I judged Russell Westbrook too fast this year. He stopped shooting threes and leaned on what he does best, go to the rim and be an athletic beast. Outside of his MVP year, Russ was working on a career high in field goals. He was shooting a career best 47.4 from the field with his fewest three-point attempts ever, which is ironic because that happened moving to the Rockets. Russ was working. At times, he was the Rockets' best player. Mike D'Antoni said he would be even better in the postseason. His expectation was Russ would be even more efficient come playoff time. That was a scary thought for the league. I mean, before the season stopped, he was playing like an MVP again. He shot 52% from the field in January, 55% in February, and 49% in March. Elite. The knock on Russell Westbrook his entire career is that he is a ball hog and he is really inefficient, that he was way too stubborn and he continued to just brick threes all day long. Well, he changed all that, and I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. Russ plus James Harden absolutely works. Now, all their hard work together will be ruined because they will lose games without Russ, and it'll create an awful playoff matchup. And by the way, Russ and Harden aren't the only ones to put in work for this to pay off. Daryl Morey in that front office did too. The NBA world thought they were insane for trading Clint Capella and not have a guy outside of Tyson Chandler who's taller than 6'8". What are they thinking? They were thinking to go all in on Westbrook. Russ was shooting 25% from downtown, and he finally listened and changed. He stopped shooting threes. That obviously helped his game. He is way more efficient, like we said, but it meant Clint Capella had to go. They couldn't have two players who can't shoot on the floor at the same time. So Daryl Morey had the guts to go with just PJ Tucker at center. That looks uncomfortable. A tough decision, but it's what he had to do with Russell Westbrook on his roster. Like I said, a great decision. I was a big fan of it, but imagine if they didn't do that now. They could go back to the Capella-Harden pick-and-roll game that worked so well, they got to Game 7 of the conference finals, a Chris Paul hamstring away from the finals. Now, they don't have Capella at all, or Westbrook at first, and it'll be a really tough road for the Rockets. If Houston does lose in the first round, it'll be tragic for James Harden's career. I legitimately thought this was his best chance to win a title. I mean, look at the other contenders this season. The Lakers' depth is an issue. The Warriors are injured. The Clippers are in their first year with new stars leading their team, and Giannis doesn't have a second star to work with. I think Harden thought this was his best chance to win a title too. I mean, he went to Arizona and worked his butt off, got in great shape, knowing he'll finally have fresh legs for the playoffs. The issue for years has been Harden running out of gas in the postseason. He finally had rest and an MVP star next to him, but that's all up in the air now. Without Russ, Austin Rivers, Ben McLemore, and Eric Gordon will get more minutes. Look, they're decent. Eric Gordon is more than decent, but Russ was averaging about 28 points, 7 assists, 8 boards, and 2 steals per game. None of them is going to replace Westbrook. But Russell Westbrook testing positive for COVID-19 forces us to ask other questions here about the NBA bubble. I mean, it was a legitimate shock to actually see those words on a screen on my phone when that alert popped up. What if other, even bigger stars test positive? I mean, if LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, or Giannis Antetokounmpo, any of them gets COVID-19, we'll be forced to put an asterisk on this title and just admit it doesn't mean as much as a normal championship. That is what the NBA is risking here. You could argue they shouldn't be playing the season anyway. I know Russ was out of the bubble when all this happened, but the NBA already has players breaking the rules a few days in. The Rockets, of all teams, ironically, have a bench guy, Bruno Caboclo, who is in quarantine after a rule violation. He left his hotel room for some reason, and now he's got to self-isolate for 10 days. Here's another example. There was a tweet sent out by this young lady that said, "I already got invited to the bubble. Yeah, the season definitely ending early." Oh no. A lot of people thought that was James Harden. He's not even in the bubble yet. Look, even if you think I'm overreacting here, you have to admit this will affect the Rockets at least a little bit. It could affect, at least, their playoff seeding, which could mean a first-round exit. I gave huge props to the Rockets, Harden, Westbrook for making this thing work. It would be such a shame if this is the reason it fails. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.